What is going on, everyone? We are back with another music reaction. I'm Depraved.
I'm Hellcat.
And together we are...
HellaDepraved.
Yes, we are. Alright, so we've got a tough one for you guys. If you are somebody that is easily triggered by depictions or songs about domestic abuse, this is not the reaction for you.
Right.
This is coming from the homie Massive Man. He had actually called and we talked to him for about an hour.
So
a couple days ago, and
we do know what this is about. Not.
Well, I mean, the song's called Domestic Violence, so.
Mm-hmm.
But just wanted to put that warning out there.
Thank you for clicking in, and we understand if you need to leave.
Right. I was not expecting it to only be 2 minutes and 16 seconds long.
I think he said there's absolutely no choruses, though.
Right.
So, unfortunately, this is a subject that I think needs to be addressed because it is prevalent in all levels of society and all over the world. Both men and women are affected. And I really don't think we're going to service anyone by not talking about it.
Right. So, we're going to react to this if you guys have already seen it. If not, click the link in the description below. Hop on over, do all the things, and then come on back. And we thank us for commentary, reaction, breakdown, comedy channel. And what that means, we will pause for any and or all of the above. I also want to mention, if you go to Massive Man's video for this, which you should, especially if you're here watching it with us, he has an option on his video to donate to help.
The hotline. Yeah.
I didn't see who it was for.
It's for domestic violence is what it's for.
I didn't see the company.
I believe it's for the actual hotline.
Oh.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you have any money that you're able to spare for a good cause.
Also, support Massive Man for putting this message out there. And many other messages about mental health, physical health as well. Yeah.
Right. So, super excited to check this out. So, without any further ado, it is time to slash it and break it down. This is Massive Man with Domestic Violence.
My mommy and daddy are having a fight. He's hurting mommy. We're gonna send the police. Okay.
This isn't a dream. Woke up to screams. Mommy and daddy are fighting again. It is intense. Daddy is stressed. Glass on the floor, the room is a mess. Moving his hand, he's gripping her neck. Clenching her fist, she's hitting his chest. Closing my eyes, I wish that I left. Can't even breathe, I'm trying my best. Screaming for help, I'm only 12. There is no way I could do it myself. There is no way to assist her. They woke up my sister from plates falling off of the shelf. Help, both of us standing in shock. Both of us trying to get him to stop. I run to the phone, I left her alone. While I'm proceeding to dial the cops. Hurry, please, it's an emergency.
Are you alone? Is there a burglary?
No, daddy is hurting our mom.
Okay, remain on the line. Stay calm.
Saying that they would arrive in a minute. Daddy is looking at her with a twisted look in his eye. Look at her cry by the looks of it. I think that mommy is finished. She grabbed a knife off the kitchen counter, clenching her grip and refusing to cower. Struck and then hit him with all of her power. Knew that her kids couldn't make it without her. Daddy fell, scared as hell. Mommy doesn't know what to do. Let him go, check his pulse. Daddy looks uncomfortable. Saw her eyes, look surprised. Standing still, she cannot move. She's in shock, hear the cops. They come rushing in the room. Put the weapon down, put the weapon down. Daddy isn't breathing, lying on the ground. Weapons drawn, pointing at her mom. She is panicking, try to keep her calm. What to do, what to do? Mommy doesn't have a clue. In a panic, try to move. Trigger, pull the police, shoot. Mom and dad are on the floor. Cops are racing around the room. They tell us both to hold on tight. They said it would be over soon.
Woo!
Ooh, yeah.
Oh, that was a rough one.
So I want to mention that it started with the message that daily over 20,000 domestic violence calls are logged. That's a lot. And obviously this is a worst case scenario. But look at what it does to the kids. I mean, if you don't have it in you to stop the cycle for yourself, either being the offender or the victim, do it for your kids. And I know that is parsing it down to the most simplistic version possible, but to put your children in a situation like this is, you know.
And for those of you that are saying it is easier said than done, I just want to tell you a little story from my past.
Well, I want to mention that's why I said it's parsing it down to the most simplistic. I'm just saying this is almost an impact statement. So,
Right.
you know.
Now, granted, I have never personally been in a domestic abuse situation. However, there was a time when I was younger, my kids were younger, that I had actually walked in on my ex-wife with somebody else. Now, they were not in the act of doing anything. But
That doesn't make it much better.
I mean, dude was laying around in his boxers. And
Yeah, it doesn't make it much
yeah,
better.
I'm not stupid. I had a quick thought of blinding rage. And then I turned around and seen my kids. And for that moment, literally what popped in my head is, if I kill them, my kids will have none of their parents.
And also, they're going to witness it.
Right. I said some mean shit. And then closed the door, turned around, grabbed my kids, and walked out. Things could have gone far, far differently. But it's one of the many things that I'm thankful that I was able to keep a cool head and realize it wasn't worth all the other options. I say this now. Actually, me and my ex-wife are really cool with each other.
Yeah.
We actually get along a lot better since the divorce.
As co-parents.
Yeah, as co-parents.
But your
So-
kids are fine. They're wonderful human beings. They have
Right.
both their mom and their dad in the
Right.
picture, as well as multiple others, should they choose to accept us.
Right. And that's, again, there are going to be a lot of people out there that are going to be like,
Yeah.
it is so much easier, but it can be done.
Okay, so my story time, and I already did share this with Mass, because there's always concern when you release a song like this. He was doing it from a place of very good intentions of wanting this kind of message to be heard for the people that have suffered from whatever aspect of domestic violence to feel heard as well. But you know, there's always a bit of concern. So I had shared this part of me with him to reinforce that I do think it's a topic that deserves to be spoken about, no matter how many times, because it just doesn't seem to register in the human psyche how much damage it causes. Myself personally, I've never been in a physically abusive relationship. Have there been times that I was scared that it was going to progress? Absolutely. Absolutely. Terrified, in fact. This one particular incident was actually me almost becoming the perpetrator. And that is not what I was scared about in the rest of the relationship. It was my last straw, shall I say. After 5.5 years of just more than one should ever take. But I stayed for the variety of reasons that a lot of people stay. Financially, I could not break away. Every job that I took, I was followed, and that person also took a job at the same place. I had been pulled away from all of my friends, my family. Some of it was the pleas that you kind of want to hear from your partner in terms of, but I want to be your rock. I want to be the one you rely on. So it was very insidious. It wasn't a, no, I don't want you talking to those people. It was a, why don't you rely on me more? Which is what I wanted to hear at the time. I wanted somebody to be my partner, you know? So over the period of 5.5 years, like, I lost myself entirely. Months before this incident, I had been pulled off of work by my doctors for disability. So I wasn't working. I had saved up, not much at all, considering I owned my own home at the time. And half of it was being paid by my partner, although he wasn't on any of the paperwork. And he had gone away for the weekend for work. I was never sure if he was cheating or not. I wasn't a horribly suspicious person, and at that point in our relationship, honestly, the break was welcomed because he was that much of a force of anger in the house, just constantly belittling and demeaning me, especially since I was now considered disabled. Now, I have never wanted my own children, and have made this clear before the beginning of any relationship, and he well knew this. But he came home, woke me up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and told me that he had figured out the resolution for our relationship, and that was to have me fertility tested so that I could bear him his son. And until then, he would live in the second bedroom, and as soon as I had birthed a son, we could have a happily ever after. And I blinked, and I was standing behind him with a frying pan. Luckily, I blinked before anything happened and realized how incredibly irate I was to have blacked out to get to that point. I'm not really a fighter. So I had never truly spoken back to him, raised my voice to him, any of the above. I just kind of took it. And at that point, I was like, you know what? I've spent 5.5 of my years doing this. I missed college for this guy. I stayed in this city for this guy, basically. And he's not worth going to jail for. So I kicked him out. And his jaw hit the floor. He did not believe that I was actually standing up for myself. Kicked him out. It ended up with foreclosure. I was homeless for a year. It does not happen easily. I understand that there are all of these roots and ties and all these facets that you can't even comprehend pulling away from, that you don't even know are there until the deed is done. Honestly, you lose not only years, parts of yourself, you lose your house, your stuff. But I will tell you this, I took quite a few years to heal. And I finally did. So it is worth it in the long run. But it doesn't come easy.
And I I want to chime in. This is going to sound dickish at first. It is not intended to be. I fully understand people being in situations that make it even harder to get out of situations like this. But if you have kids, you have zero excuse. Your kids should always, I don't care who you are, be the number one people in your life. If you are sticking around in a situation that is dangerous for them, let alone yourself, there's no excuse. There are shelters. There are government aid situations that you can look into, that you can find. Like, if you don't have kids, it's a little, I'm a little more understanding. But as a father myself, I would have never put my kids in that situation, or B, like I can't fathom it. I just can't.
And I do understand a lot of the rationalizations and justifications. Trust me, 5.5 years. 5.5 years, guys. And he was not, unfortunately, he was the longest in terms of emotionally abusive situations I put myself in. But not the only. He was the last, however, of that caliber. Now, a lot of times people will say, well, he loves the kids, she loves the kids, they would never turn on the kids. I think that this video demonstrates exactly what type of harm's way those kids could be in regardless. Like, shattered glass, walking out in the middle of the night, trying to pull because I don't want to just say daddy. It was daddy for this video, but it could have been mommy, or, other mommy or other daddy. It doesn't matter. Pull one of them off of the other. They could get backhanded. They could get, if you think about breaking up a dog fight or a cat fight, being told never to do it because they don't realize that it's you. They're in that fight mode. It's the same for people. You've seen bar fights. We've all seen street fights, brawls, where somebody is trying to do the right thing and pull them off and ends up getting socked and sent back 10 feet. You don't want that to happen to your child. And so, again, even if the abuse is not being inflicted directly on the child, A, they're listening to it. And B, they could get in harm's way even with the best of intentions.
And let's be honest, they're kids. They're learning from you.
Right. But the damage, okay, so, we talk about physically abusive relationships versus emotionally and verbally abusive relationships. I still have damage. I still have baggage. I'm not the person I was going into those relationships. They caused me that much damage as a young adult and adult. If I had had children listening to the things that were being said to me all the time, like, either they're going to go one of either way, but internally it's going to hurt them. It's going to hurt them.
Right.
Yeah, the role models, maybe they become violent. Maybe they become the victim. Maybe they think it's okay and they turn a blind eye. But it still hurts them to see that kind of dynamic in the household. It's still terrifying. And even more so, I would think, for a child to be viewing it. Because they don't really have a firm grasp on what's going on. So I know it's hard. There are support groups. Granted, a lot of the shelter services, definitely stuff like getting restraining orders, all of that stuff sucks. And it's not done very well. And we don't have a very firm grasp on how to enforce. I get it. But for everybody, you gotta pull yourself out of the situation because it's never okay.
And the last thing that I want to say, so like the lady was defending herself in this video.
Yeah.
But regardless, if you're the aggressor in a domestic abuse situation, whether physically, mentally, emotionally, any of the sort, I want you to know, one, you are a piece of shit. I don't care who you are. I don't care if your religion dictates that it's okay and that's how things are supposed to be. I don't care if your background in any way, shape, or form dictates that that's okay for you to be.
It's not.
First off, I want you to unsub from my channel and go the fuck away. Because I do not stand for this shit. I never will.
Right. There's no excuses. None.
And hopefully, at some point in life, you either learn to change. Chances are you probably won't, and you get what's coming to you.
Yeah.
One
Karma
way,
can
shape,
be
or
a
form.
slow burn. And I just want to point out, I know that once again, we see cop violence here. Domestic violence calls are one of the most dangerous calls for cops to take. Any EMTs, first responders, doesn't matter. Because again, that fight mentality doesn't end if they get separated. A lot of times there's alcohol involved. A lot of times there's drugs involved. If a call is coming from a child, it actually doesn't matter who the call is coming from. It could be a neighbor. They don't know if firearms are involved. They have to go in on the utmost defensive mentality. In this scenario, is it likely that the cop would have shot her just because? No, it's not. They probably would have tried a bit more backing up and
But to be
talking
fair,
to her.
we've seen cops shoot for less.
I know. I that's why I said, is it likely? No. A lot of cops that are out there are trying to do the right thing, especially if they see children involved, because children are a hot button for cops. So, but again, this is what can happen when situations like this get out of control. And this is the damage that's done to these kids. These kids will now have to go off to foster care, might
Probably
be
get split up.
separated, unless they have a very close relative that's willing to take both of them in. They're going to need help in terms of psychiatric help. They're probably going to go through periods of lashing out, rage, maybe internalization, be silent. I mean, we're affecting everybody around us. It's not just us that's getting this damage. Like I said, I have friends that I still haven't been able to get back together with. Good friends. That it was just completely damaged. Family that still doesn't understand. It's a lonely, isolating place to be in the relationship, but it's also not easy coming out of it. So it's a ripple effect, and it needs to be spoken about. It needs to be. People need to start getting the message. They see it and they react almost like the Sarah McLachlan Save the Animals videos at this point. They're like, it's another, and it's not. So anyway.
Alrighty. So
I thought it was fantastic.
Great song, Mass. Great song. With that being said, if you guys liked the video, slash that like button, subscribe, but ring the bell for notifications. Comment down below, what did you think of Massive Man with Domestic Violence? Also comment down below if there's anything else you guys would like to see reacted to. Check the description below for all the things.
Push our buttons. Come join us on our other social media platforms, mostly Twitter if you want a quicker response.
We love you guys. Thank you all for watching. And we cannot wait to see you to pray people later.